So, we're on an ascension path on Earth. We've got a rising of the divine feminine energies, along with a balancing of the feminine and masculine energies within self. What does that really mean? How do we get there? That is what we are going to talk about today on this program. Welcome to the Collective Awakening, where we have cozy conversations with all kinds of lightworkers, way showers, and healers on a variety of hot ascension topics. I'm your host, Debbie DuBois, and I want to thank you for joining me to talk about everything from new relationships, twin flames, and sacred unions, to tarot and astrology, to Chinese medicine and advancing healing modalities, and more. The Collective Awakening is brought to you by the RVF Radio Network and True Sacred Unions, The Awakening Toolbox. Heed the call to conscious living with the Collective Awakening. Well, everybody, it's Debbie DuBois here. On today's show, we are going to delve into the energetic bodies and creating balance, which leads us to have well-being. Today, my guest is Lisa Janell, otherwise known as Green Woman Wisdom. With over 30 years of experience as an intuitive counselor, Lisa has honed her clarity into the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms of the body. She has decades of education from shamans, healers, and philosophers from both Eastern and Western societies, all coupled with her own natural intuitive abilities, some of which is to accurately pinpoint areas of imbalance within the many bodies. She has the gift of being able to receive guided information from a variety of unseen helpers to assist in the restoration and maintenance of her clients' healthy state of well-being. Lisa is experienced in working with clients, both adults and children, worldwide. She's been through her own personal regenerative process and is a mother of beautiful children. And she has said that that is one of her most amazing accomplishments. And I love that. I have to say that I have been working with Lisa personally over the last several months, and her assistance has been absolutely astounding in my life. She's also one of the most loving, divine feminine beings that I personally have ever met. And so I wanted her to be a guest on this show because I want to share the beauty of this person with you and talk a little bit about what she's able to do. So I want to welcome you, Lisa, to the Collective Awakening.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. And what a wonderful welcome. I'm humbled.
Oh, well, I just cannot say enough about you. And this is, what I'm really aiming to do on the show is to bring forth some of the incredible beings that I know, people that I'm working with personally, that I know have these different skills, talents, and abilities. And so that's what I wanted to talk about with you today, is I wanted to talk a little bit about, what you do, how you came to be what you're doing. But I want to start out by talking about Green Woman Wisdom, because that was one of the things. Oh, I must interject here that I met Lisa and we got talking about websites, and I ended up, I'm actually in the process of creating her website. And this is where we started to talk about Green Woman Wisdom, because I really didn't know where that came from. So I want to start right there with Green Woman Wisdom. Tell me a little bit about what that means to you.
Well, I guess that I can start out by saying how that came to be, how even the words came to my mind, and then how it floated into a shift in career moves. So it started out with, I had my first child like 25 years ago, and I was getting my astrological chart done. And that was the first time I had received that. I had sought that out. And when it came back, it was just so many aspects of myself that I didn't know yet, but that resonated with me. As soon as I got those different pieces back, talking, and one of them was the green woman, I was like, what is that? But I already knew what it was. And so it was helping me with that liminar state of being in between, like cruising over from allowing my past lives to come into play, the memories, everything that was aspects of me that I didn't get to open yet, I didn't know about. So it was this incredible state of consciousness, like opening, telling me that there's so much more of me that I was to explore and find out about, but I didn't yet know. And so, but I knew. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So it was that really cool feeling of being in between. And so I started to research who the green woman was, and I couldn't find anything about her because she is part of the whole Avalon experience and one of the healers, the wisdom keeper, the high priestess, just you name it, she was it, but she was hidden away. And she would be the healer that everybody would sneak away to after hours and go either to ask her about her counseling and, love relationships or any kind of relationship and relationship with themselves, their spiritualism, or any kind of physical healing. But everybody would go to her and they treasured her and loved her, but they never owned her. They never spoke of her. And she was kept a secret, like hidden away in the forest. And so little did I know, this was playing out in my astrological chart, and it was coming up as different aspects inside of me. And so when I hit upon these words that said she was invisible in plain sight, that summed up so many pieces inside of me that I didn't even know about. And so that basically was the opening to my career. It was that I started this in a time, I started working with clients in a time, in the 80s when this was not so mainstream or accepted. And I wanted to go, I was thinking about becoming like a natural doctor or nutritionist or something with a license, or even a counselor, something with a license. And I was just not guarded, but guided by spirit. And it was a guard too, to not go into mainstream anything. And so then my teachers started to appear, and I started to want to be educated with shamans and grandmaster healers and philosophers and books and religion and everything from all over the world, which I was already studying. I was in a 4-year degree program for international relations and learning about languages and business and international everything. And so already I had that kind of attraction. Right. And so I just watched I couldn't even get away from it. It was just such something that I was attracted to. And plus, that's when my own regenerative process started. I needed to heal myself. And It was a lot about the endocrine system and the heart chakra and everything. So it was just something that developed inside of me. And now, after having children, going through a long-term marriage, hindsight has been just so wonderful to see how the green woman had to play out her part in my life. And now the thing that was, sometimes being invisible was such a wound inside of me. It hurt, but it was something that propelled me to see the power in it. the power in helping people. And what I had to focus on, it wasn't an egoic power. It was a connection, a heart-to-heart connection, heartfelt connection with each of my clients. And I didn't care if I was seen because of them. I was seen with them. I was seen with me. So that helped heal me. So
Right.
now I'm stepping out after 30 years
Right.
in the forest, and it feels really good.
You're
And
coming out.
yeah, right. But I'm not really, because there's so much more of me that I keep, just again in sacred. And my whole teaching is about sacred space and
Right.
that. And I love it. But I'm using it as a love for myself, a love for what I do, and honoring exactly the way that I choose to express it.
Right.
So
Well, what I thought really, it's funny, what separated you from a lot of the other people that I've met in the Lightworker community is that you are very private. And, it's so funny how many people will get onto Facebook and they post their articles and they post their videos, and, they're very visible. And I remember, conversations that we had about how private you are. And we were talking about, like, I really, really wanted more people to know who you were, because I know that with the shifts and the changes that are coming in the planet, that you're desperately needed out there. And since I've been we've known each other, has it been a year, 2 years? 2 years, I think. 2 years?
yeah, more than that, but yeah,
Oh my
about.
God, I don't know time anymore.
No, neither do I, but I just remember when it happened with a stage in my life, so
Okay.
that's
Well,
why I can tell you that.
right, but I'm very glad that you remember, because I don't. But we've known each other for quite a while, and I've had snapshots, and we'll talk about that too. I've had snapshots when you first showed me what you were capable of. I was like really impressed and in awe. But of course, we continued our friendship. And of course, I've been working on your website and things like that. But it wasn't really until the last 2 or 3 months that we've really delved into work with me, because I'm doing what I would consider is I'm at a level of mastery, in that I'm fine tuning and honing in on all the little pieces that keep kind of resurfacing. We all know what that means. These pieces keep spiraling around to come out. And Lisa has come back into my life right at a time when it's like just the absolute perfect solution. So I guess it's like, what I want to say about the privateness is that, this for me was a way that I could return that to you, to make sure that people know who you are, because you're probably not going to see Lisa all over YouTube, Facebook, or anything else, and that she still has that green woman piece to her, but that does not mean that that you're not there for everybody. And so this is kind of like, when I say coming out, I mean, this is coming out. I want people to know who you are, sweetie pie.
Well, that is so sweet. Thank you so much. But what you just explained was the whole thing of the green woman was the invisible in plain sight. It's not that she has to be totally invisible and never known.
Right.
It's just that I can't even explain it.
I
But
get it though.
it's because it has been a long journey, this word invisibility. And this is a really neat story. I just have to say right now that when I started accepting all pieces of me, calling them home, all the facets of myself, they showed up to explain me in all sorts of different ways with nature. And this is what I love to teach, and my connection with the American Indian philosophy of the spirit animals. And I remember when I received my panther, and she came around me, around my back, so I couldn't see her, but I heard her purring, and I could feel the warmth of her body coming, and she came around the side of me, or on my left side, and she rubbed up against my face. Mm-hmm. And she came around the side, and then she showed me her paws. And I said, why are you showing me your paws? But I already knew that that is the most important thing to me when I see a cat, and especially a big cat. I'm so intrigued by the cushion and the soft and the fluffy of those paws. And she said, look at my paws. They make me silent. You can't hear me. And then she came around in front of me and her eyes like gleamed into me and she said, it's what makes me invisible. And I got it in a second that, oh my gosh, it's a glory to be invisible. It's not, a deficit.
Oh.
And that's when I claimed my power. That was so wonderful.
Well, you want to know what is so interesting about that is that, we're in a society where everyone seeks the spotlight. And I've got to say, even as from when I was a little girl, I was on the stage, I was in plays, I was singing solos. It's not like, I don't know. It's just so much a part. Maybe it's American culture. Maybe it's ever since we had TV and films or whatever it is. But we are so filled with a society where people want to be known. They want people to know who they are. And what's so amazing is that you've showed me the absolute power and beauty of exactly what you're saying is that you can be this incredible, powerful being and not have to be in the spotlight. It's this incredible, I don't know. It's just, it's new to me and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I'm glad that you highlighted that because what I am seeing is that this is the journey of the divine feminine and understanding the immense gifts in just being exactly who you are, and that in this lifetime you are incarnated as a feminine, whole feminine entity, and you get to experience the wholeness of the feminine, but that even that the people that incarnated as men, they still have half of them that are feminine. And so to experience that is being the receptor, the receiving quality, and that you attract to you that is which is in your divine order. And all you have to do is be in alignment with your divinity, your truth, and act in your heart's desire. And always refer to that, puts you in that alignment to attract what is yours. And so you don't need to go and be a mouthpiece or, and there's nothing wrong with having a YouTube channel or having a blog or typing or putting things out every day. There are so many wonderful people that have so many creative, mind-blowing things to share that I depend on. I love it. I love my little Instagram. I do have an Instagram page, but I never post on it.
Right.
Like getting, little shocks of what people create and what they're putting out there, and even like what's for dinner. But I love all of that, and some people need that or need a chunk of time in their lifetime to express that way. But I think that in the higher order of things, I hear so many of us talking, even men, saying, I have been taught and directed and programmed in our society and our life and what is judgmental, good and bad, in order to be productive, producing something all the time. And that if you can't produce it and show it in the physical, then you don't have as much worth or as much value. And I think that whole schematic is being looked at. It's not totally blown apart yet.
It's being dismantled.
It's getting there, yes. And I think the more that we give credence and credit and focus on what it is of us that just is and how beautiful we are just being, everybody's heard of the human doing versus the human being. If we put the value on that and just let our light shine from that place. And of course, that doesn't mean just sitting around doing nothing and vibrating, which is wonderful,
The bliss.
And it's so necessary, but it doesn't have to be that you have to show it all the time. You can attract it and you can trust that it will come to you. And it is happening in divine timing with me. I feel that that's happening.
And it's something that you kind of pointed out to me a little bit yesterday when we were talking. You were talking about the creative fire or the light within, and I was talking about, some of my creative expression that I'm working on. And it's kind of like if you feel that you can remain focused on that light, and you will draw to you those, in other words, you don't turn away from that creative light and go seeking out these other things. And this is where I guess I'm talking about the spotlight, like if you're just wanting to be on a stage to be on a stage, then you're going to find very quickly that, at least in the newer energies, I believe that, you're just not going to really have anyone necessarily showing up to hear what you have to say. But if you are totally embroiled in your passion, in what you're focused on, it's like you naturally draw to you. You can come to put some stuff on the plate, if you will. The people that resonate with that are just going to be drawn in by the very sheer energy vibration that you're holding while you're serving up that plate, which is just a lot different than putting the megaphone up, or just look at me. Yeah.
It's putting a line of intention out there, and the energy meets up, and
right.
you get exactly what it is that you're asking for, intending on.
Yeah.
That's how I think everything is starting to shift towards, and so that it becomes this effortless dance of true heart's desire, excuse me. And then everybody gets to play.
And that's what that's always the beacon for me, is I've always said, I believe that where we're headed is a place and time and space, a moment of now in the very near future, where people are just really playing every day. And I get to do that. I'm very, very lucky. But I do have the masculine energy that drives that sometimes too much, that says produce, produce, produce. And I don't allow maybe enough time for the feminine to receive the benefits of that, whatever you want to say it, the creative expression. But I see that as the ideal existence, and what the whole movement, if you talk about the awakening or whatever. So we're moving into a space where literally existing in the physical realm, it becomes a play date. What are we going to do today? What are we going to create today? What are we going to co-create today? It's kind of how I see it.
Oh, totally. And I see also that there's a common wound among the feminine, and even the feminine in the masculine bodies, because I have a lot of men clients too that come up with the same wound, and that's they have this guilt and worthless self-worth diminishment inside of them, and it's all relies on productivity, because we're in a very physical world, and then our American society is very product oriented, and so that puts you up for a double whammy. And I watch, my own kids, like going through the educational system and that, and seeing the fine programming that happens, and we're all a part of it. I mean, if any of the media or anything that you plug into, you're going to get it in subconscious dribbles. Right. And so the whole point of this is to remain conscious of, like what you said, the inner flame, the fire. And it reminds me, and we talked about this last night, and I just love this woman and I wish she would come back and write some more books. It's Clarissa Pinkola Estes, and I was listening to a seminar of hers, and she was talking about creativity and that, and then they opened up the audience to ask her questions, and somebody said, I think that I've come to my wall. I don't have any more creativity left in me. I can't produce anything. I can't get it out. I can't get the flow. And I just, what do you do when that's just gone? And she said it so lovingly. It was so wonderful. And it's just like, I want to hear her tell stories. She's the one who did Women Who Runs with the Wolves. And anyway, that's just a little sideline of my experience with her. But anyway, so back to her, she said, my dear, you can never put out your flame. You can't dim it, but you do have the choice of turning away from it. And so what she was talking about was turning towards your ego, turning away from spirit. And of course, the ego needs to exist. That's the protection of the spirit, but there has to be a healthy balance. And I think that's what we get caught up in the programming and the fast track of like success is based on X, Y, and Z. And we're out there producing for success and forgetting about our true heart's desire. So that leads me to what I see in my work. The commonality is it's so simple. And it's the Rumi poem that has driven me into my passion with my work and the connection that I have with my clients. And that is, your task is not to seek for love. Your task is to seek all barriers that keep you from it. And so very simply, that's what I think we're put here to do, is just become awakened and enlightened to what we have allowed as blocks in the flow of love coming from the divine to us.
Right. And go ahead.
No, that's it. Just keep it simple. Simple.
Yes.
Focus on that.
I am mind blown, and I don't know if this is something if we even talked about, but one of my most recent posts in my Facebook group, The Awakening Toolbox, was that quote with something that I had written. It came through my post a year ago, and I reposted it. And it was my thought in my collection. It was a year ago. And isn't that funny? I just posted it like a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's the collective working for you.
It is. It's the synchronicities. That's one of the things that, I can say about any of the work that I've done or my friendship with Lisa is that she has taught me so much about synchronicity, how so many things are synced together. And I have never met someone that has more demonstrations of signs. And I mean,
focus on it.
Well, it's so funny because we'll be having a conversation, and then she'll be like, oh, there's this particular, I'm trying to think, what was the animal that was out in the backyard? It was a possum. Possum. Yeah, and you knew the symbolism of every little bit in how the dogs were interacting and how it was relating to. It's almost like, I want to say, it's almost like you have this perspective of the world as dream symbols. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, and you
get I love that world and I want to live there, and that's why it's hard for me to like focus on driving down the street. Gosh.
Oh,
and just for you to know, I saw a dead possum on the way home yesterday. No. So within, 2 days, I got 2 possums, and I have never seen a possum in my yard, and I have never seen a dead possum on the road. It's usually raccoons that are running around and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that is a major, major sign. So yeah, I need to look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. I teach a lot about that because I think that is the way the universe, God, is always talking to us, and how we, most of the time when we're distraught and depressed and dense and thick with heavy energy, it's because we feel that we're alone. Mm-hmm. And that we don't have help or no one else cares. And if you can delve into the native cultures and the primitive cultures, what they learned to receive as messages and connection to nature, connection to spirit, you'll see that there's not one moment you're alone. As a matter of fact, when I got into this, 30 years ago, the signs and everything, I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to the bathroom or have sex again. I'm never alone.
Right.
But I mean, of course, it's different on the other side there. But the animal, I just love that. I love the color and everything. Everything is talking to you all the time. And I think that we just have to be lifting the veils with education to decode all of the signs that we're missing. Because as much as you can be educated, you're still missing. Because it's all this divine, beautiful dance.
And this right here is where when I say the divine feminine, when you talk about receiving, this is, I guess, what I'm talking about. We were talking about, the needing to be on the spotlight or needing to do and all of this. This is kind of where our world has been, I want to say dominated a little bit by the patriarchal, the masculine, the having to show up with something produced, with something. What you're showing me, and this is a perfect example of it, is the receiving is opening up to be a receiver, which means you're opening up your senses to look around you and receive what the universe is giving you at any given moment. You're being talked to continually. You're being given all the information you ever need, but unless you allow that feminine energies to open to receive, you're missing so much.
Exactly.
That maybe is what I was getting at. Here you are, you're receiving all of this information with all of your senses. And that is what you use in all of your work. But it's also a really great example for those of us who don't understand. I don't think a lot of people understand the feminine energy. I really don't.
Right. And I think that we're all just starting to now, because it's so needed. It's so necessary now. It's the thing that is going to be the healing and the continual future flow of the way the energy is coming in for us to benefit from. And quite importantly as well is, you receive the energy through the feminine, but you put it like you're receiving from the fifth dimension the energy through the feminine aspect, and then you put it to use to work, to form and function through your masculine in action. So there's never one without the other. They have to be this divine dance.
Right.
And both, all of us, and then outside of us as well. So yes, I think that's beautiful.
And I think that there has been this false masculine feminine balance that has been revered in our world today, where we're misinterpreting what feminine and masculine is. I mean, it's kind of been this template of what feminine and masculine is, but and that's kind of kept us in a state of inequality, because it's like that codependence thing where you can't show up one without the other. When you have both within you, it takes both actually to be the creator that you are. It takes both. You can't do one without the other. You can't actually show up in your authentic being without both pieces.
Yes, exactly. And I think that that's why so much of the gender bending is happening right now. And it's just an exploration. And these brazen souls that came to lead difficult lives in the forefront of opening up ideas of masculine and feminine and allowing them to blend and allowing them to live and be expressed in the same body. Mm-hmm. That is just so apparent that there is a shift. Yeah. And we all need to embrace it. We all need to embrace the possibilities of what the exploration of this can bring for all of us. Mm-hmm. And not just like point a finger, think that's different or weird or whatever. Just allow it to come in and say,
right.
And so it's just beautiful that everybody's doing their part. And if you just look at it like that, it becomes just, again, a divine dance.
And it's part of the fabric of the changes and the shifts that are happening. Because if in my honest opinion, if I were to say right now in our conversation, what is the objective of ascension, I would say that the objective of ascension is to actually embody a balanced feminine, masculine, authentic being, embodying as much of the energy of source that we can in order to do what I had said earlier, which is to be able to express that. I talk about creative expression not even just by yourself anymore. It becomes creative expression with all. And it becomes, like you said, this dance that we have with everything around us. And we really begin to understand how we are woven together as one.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But there's one component there is like when the ascension, in order for like a hot air balloon to take off, you have to let the sandbags go. And so that I think is an important, very important piece. And that happens truly through loving yourself in order to let go of the dense and dark and old that doesn't serve you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so that your balloon can fly
Yes.
to the heights that you've never experienced before. Well, maybe you have, but to get
Not
to
in this time space, maybe. It's like,
right, right.
well, I want to move the conversation in another area that actually is so much a part of this, and that is in order to let go of those sandbags, we're all kind of going through this process. And I'm kind of getting a sense of how you're able to help people go through this process, because I've actually gotten to experience that firsthand. But I want to start by saying, there's so many things that you are capable of doing in helping people with. But the first thing I wanted to introduce was the first experience I had with you is you sent me something called a snapshot. And it was an audio recording out of nowhere. I just got this recording from Lisa, and it went into my physical body, and it was telling me some things that were going on with me. Tell me about snapshots and how they're given to you and what they do and all that.
Well, first of all, yours came out of nowhere because I was working with you and I knew that I had that space with you. I wouldn't send a snapshot out of nowhere to somebody who didn't ask for it. And I make sure,
right.
and I'm not accusing you of saying that I did something
right.
for you. I know that we had a friendship, and it was okay to do that. But I just want whoever's listening to this, I'm not going to impose anything on anybody unless they ask, that I'll impose.
Great points. Don't worry, Lisa's not going to send you.
No.
That's funny. Sorry.
So it is really guided by spirit, and it was wonderful because a dear friend of mine who, I'm just going to remind me to come back to the snapshot because my brain sometimes goes off.
Yeah, no, I just wrote the word snapshot.
But I'm going to take this moment right now to tell you something else here. The snapshot was born from a dear close friend of mine who is one of the only people that I allow to read me. And it's not like, I'm so high up there that you can't read me. It's not that. It's just me and the green woman. I do sacred space all over the place. And I will only allow somebody in my space that I totally trust, and not just totally trust their reading, but how they live their life, and how, layers and layers of trust with them. And I have this one dear friend of mine, Aria, and she does readings on YouTube, and she's really, really good, very talented. And she and I got together, and she actually started the word snapshot. And so I totally have to give her the credit for that.
Yeah.
And she would do the 10-minute readings cold for the client. And so she showed me how she was doing that. Not showed me how she did it. She was showing me the components of the snapshot. And I thought, that is a really good way to give just a taste of my work and allow the client to see how I connect with them, and just to see if they're comfortable with it, my voice, the way that I connect with them, and the things that come through. And if it comes through accurately, then I had a good connection. If it didn't, then it wasn't for you. So really what you can expect from it is, I got sidetracked again. I wanted to say other reader that I love to have readings from, and that I just trust wholeheartedly is Debbie, is you.
Oh.
Yeah, she is just so talented, and everybody needs to know, because, I met her as somebody who's going to help me with my business, and she's a fantastic in that, marketer, networker, building the website and all that. But when I got to be a friend of hers, I found out all her hidden gifts. And now her gifts are coming out, and she is just so talented, so connected, and very intuitive that I always say to her, why are you like slowing yourself down with the cards?
Oh.
Because she just gets it. And she got me good the other day. Something I was just rambling off in, and then she had a couple cards with it, but she pinpointed something in me that it took me so long, and she even had to peel me off the ceiling with it. There about it, like, no, it's not like that. And so this is something woven in my fabric that she was able to see, and I love that connection. I crave that connection. And I just love the feeling that you get with the illumination when that happens, like, oh, I've been doing this for so long, and now I know the key to unlock the door to let the air in, the sun, the wind, everything, so that I can heal that part of me that was blocking that flow of love. And so she is a gift. And if you ever have the chance to get a reading from her, please do yourself a favor and give yourself a gift. She is wonderful, wonderful insight.
Well, it's funny because as you were saying that, all I'm thinking of is that's the beauty between what we have as friends, is that beautiful flow of being able to help each other. And you can see things that I can't see, and I might have seen something that you couldn't see. It's just one of those things. And we all need to learn to treasure each other, treasure, because we are that fabric. And I thank you so much for saying that. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Oh, yes, definitely. It takes one to know one.
Wow. So we were talking about
the snapshot. Okay. So what you would get with that is my clients email me with a question. They either have a single question, or they say, I just need to know what my guides want me to know right now. Or they ask for like an energy download. Mm-hmm. And so for me to answer about the question part, it is about a 10-minute pre-recorded audio that I tune into your energy, and I listen to your guides and angels and tutors and ask them either the answer to the question or the guidance that they need from the question, or what is it that they're needing them to know in that moment. And it's not me. That's what I can say. I'm so amazed at what comes through. And in the beginning, I was sort of just kind of like shy about doing it, because I was like, oh my gosh, what if I've never talked to this person before? Sometimes it's people I've never talked to, and they order it first just to get a taste of what I do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's clients, and it's easier to do clients because I've already gotten to their energy and know a little bit about them and I can connect really easy. But this was something that helped me. I just love snapshots because it helped me hone in on my skills and really surrender to the whole process, because there was no way that I knew anything about them except their name and their email address.
Right.
But not, anything about them. And then the things that would come through, I just had to say goodbye ego of right and wrong and me having any sort of attachment to, if it was a good reading, if it was a bad reading, if I said the right thing or not, it didn't matter. I'm just like channeling information and giving it to him. And so after I cleared the pipes with the shy and the ego got out of there, the messages got bigger and better and more precise and concise and concentrated. It was wonderful. And so I had the greatest time with the snapshots. Now the energy download, that was something that I didn't even know was going to happen. And it just took me over. And it was a couple I had, and it was like my European clients for some reason needed the energy stuff. It was just like a bunch of like a couple in Germany and England and it was wonderful. And I would be stopped in the middle of like what it was that I was supposed to be answering. I'm supposed to be answering their question. My head would come in and say, stop with the energy stuff. They wanted their question answered. And I was like, I have to surrender to what spirit is telling me to do. And I just allowed the energy to come through.
Right.
And so I would tell the client what time, what day, and everything, so that they would go back and say if they felt it, or if, you know, they got dreams from it, or something happened energetically, or a synchronicity or whatever. And I don't like to say 100% of the time, but I can't remember somebody who didn't feel it, who didn't get it. And again, I am just
right.
amazed, because it's not me. I just know that I'm just the channel, or just a tube it's coming sliding through. And it's so much fun to see the responses of what was happening. And as much as they're sitting there on their side waiting, okay, hurry up, send me the answer, send me what you get and whatever. And sometimes it might take me 2 days to get it back, or to get it out. But eagerly, or as much as they're eager, I'm eager to hear how they received it, and not for an accolade. I want to know the energy that they got.
Right, because it's
just so much fun to be a part of.
Well, and I was going to say, that is collaborative if you think about it. I mean, it's a participative experience that you're having. And so it's just like anything else. It's like, you know, you want a verification that, you know, telepathy, right? We're still talking with words and stuff, but there's nothing like playing a telepathy game where you both write down the same thing and you see if you got the same answers. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That's the growth of the uncovering of our natural abilities. So it doesn't surprise me at all that you'd want to know. Although it's so funny because you're so respectful about, you know, it's not like you're following up with me, well, how did it go or whatever, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I will never ask
I
will never ask a client, so what do you think?
I know.
I won't, but I'm over, and I don't have that feeling like after a session or something. I let it go, and I let it go freely. It's mostly the energy download snapshot, because because it was new for me to do that, and I was so excited. So
well, I can relate. It's funny, I can relate to the snapshot that you're talking about now that we're sitting here talking about it, because I did a card reading series, and I'll just say it right now. I'm getting ready to open up another round of card readings. Just I'm doing 23. It's my favorite number. I got a little bit of time. I said, I'm just going to do this. The window's opening. But the last time I did this, I think I did like 44 readings. I don't know how. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, crazy busy. But I understand what you're talking about, especially like I'd say, hey, if you have a question, let me know. Or if you just want general source message. Well, the ones that were general source messages, I'm going, oh my God, I don't know anything about this person. I don't know anything. You really have to rely on your connection with source. And it's almost part of ascension, to actually allow yourself to tune into source and to provide, you know, so whatever you're differently with the downloaded energies, but any information that comes through, and to have to check the ego and say, listen, you know, get out of my way, let what comes through. And that feeling of, oh my gosh, I got so much confirmation. How could you possibly know that? And I'm thinking, I don't know. How could I possibly know that? That is ascension. And that's us moving into our mastery.
Right. And the ego that you spoke over, the sandbags, that you had to let go of whatever in the ego that wasn't balanced, and to allow it to just come in freely.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Well, in addition to the snapshots, I just want to, I don't know about how much time we've got left, but I want to talk about like how you work with someone, like you work with me, like as an example, like, so I've got a session with you. What does a typical session look like from your perspective? Like how are you working with me, or how are you working with other people?
Okay. So I have 2-hour sessions, 1.5-hour sessions, hour sessions, or then you can chunk it up into any amount of time. But and I give different price ranges for the longer sessions, so it's not exactly 2 hours paid for like that. I give you a break on it. But usually people use the 2-hour sessions for the preliminary session. And depending on how severe their their questions are, not how severe their questions are, how profound their questions are, how severe, let's say if they have a body issue, a physical issue, challenge, they're going to want to know specific insight. So that 2-hour time frame gives me the ability to go through all the chakra systems, the organ systems, and be able to articulate and spend some time in each system and hopefully get a really good clean sweep of the big picture.
So you do a scan first.
Right. So it's everything's done over the phone, and I scan the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and angelic bodies. Wait, did I say that right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, yes, angelic bodies. And I'm looking for imbalances. And so when I see an imbalance, let's say I'll see an imbalance in the physical, in the stomach, and I go in and ask to see the seed. And the imbalance could be, well, you have acid reflux or something like that, but there's a challenge there and it doesn't feel good. And it's disrupting the flow throughout all of the energy systems. So I go in and ask to see the seed. And so the information will come in one of my senses, and I'll see on like a time. First of all, the seed could be a physical. It could be like, an environmental toxicity or your eating habits or something, or it could be something like the emotional, like pushing stress down into the stomach, created an acidic manifestation. So then I'm asked, I am shown the seed, like where this all began. And usually it shows me a timeline of the person's life. So did the emotional stress start in childhood, and like when? And then I'll be shown a movie of how that played out. And so usually what happens is, and this is so amazing to watch the psyche move and the energy move while the person comes to connecting the dots. So let's say it happened in kindergarten, and I see, the teacher handing out cupcakes and you didn't get one or something,
Right.
And so that created this woven fabric throughout your life of feeling left out and feeling, maybe not good enough. And then one thing piles upon another. But when the person is shown where it starts, and your own healing genius is connected and engaged into the healing, into the movement of becoming aware, bringing it from the subconscious to the conscious. And that starts the healing process already. But then we are guided to what tools, what information you need, or maybe the client needs to just talk about it, maybe cry about it, maybe just say, oh my gosh, I never saw this, but now that I do, I remember this, this, and this throughout my life. And they just start linking it together. The healing process has already begun. And this is what I love about this work, that it's an ease into this. Your guides are not going to bring up a dump truck of stuff to dump on you in one session. They're going to do it gently and kindly, and whatever your system, your whole system, can handle in that moment. So it becomes effortless. It becomes something that is freeing. I don't like to call what I do work. And if somebody's working, let it be me. I don't even think of my work as being work. Yes, I have to focus and concentrate, but it's something that I just truly love. And I get so much energy from it because of what I'm allowing to receive. But so this becomes a joyous pathway instead of, oh my gosh, I got to do work and it's scary. And sometimes scary things come up, but the way that it's presented to me is that I can relay it to the person in a place of sacred space, of comfort, of total being held and taken care of, and given the support and the tools so that you don't feel alone, and that you do feel hope, and that you feel that you can do this.
That is beautiful. And I've got to tell you that with experiences that I've had in my healing life, that is one of the things that as we, did work together over the last, I would say the last 2 months has been like some of the work that we've done most intensely, at least together, that I am so conscious of every little piece that's unraveling for me, is the love and support. I feel heard. I feel nurtured, but it's almost like I'm participating in my own nurturing. It's like you're breaking through energies that are inherent to me and in me, but you're delivering them outside of me to me, meaning I feel the oneness of the healing process with the other side. And that is what I feel a lot of times differentiates you from just other healers in my own personal experience, is the nurturing piece, the piece that it doesn't have to be painful to drop those sandbags. It doesn't have to be nasty and messy, and sometimes things come up that we don't want to deal with and we don't want to have to look at. But to be, I mean, even Lisa, what I've loved is, sometimes I'll go off on a tangent and you'll be like, well, I could see how that, unspiraled out of what we were just talking about. Now let's just go back and talk about, okay, we'll go back to right here. You refocus me, but I never feel like, oh, I got off balance, or you're just a very nurturing being. And when you're talking about having someone to, we won't use that word, to proceed down this lovely path of ascension with, that's one of the things that I feel that is something special too. And that's, why I when I say Green Woman Wisdom, and it's kind of like I've already named the show Green Woman Wisdom, that is the essence of that nurturing nature place that you can retreat to, where you're heard and you're protected by the universe that's speaking to you around you. And it's like you're delivering that. So it's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. That makes me feel really, really good, because that's, I mean, I can't say that I have an intention. I guess because I just kind of go in there blind, but no, I do have an intention. My intention is to be like the helping hand and to comfort, because I've been through it and I know how hard and gut wrenching it can be. And, one of the most beautiful things that I've learned from spirit by being the third party just observer here and being able to deliver these messages is that they told me, and this makes me all choked up and want to cry, that you've already done the work. You contracted before you came into this body. You contracted to learn these lessons for your soul, for your soul's ascension, for your soul's progression, and for the collective, everybody doing their part in the world, in the universe. So you contracted to come in and have a difficult lesson, a difficult life, whatever it is. But when you get to the point of wanting to heal from it, you have to be shown and told that you've already done the hard physical work, and that holding on to the pain and not having movement or resolution and maintaining stagnant is really much harder than coming and releasing it and being to the point of releasing the sandbags and letting go of the dark, heavy, dense. And that right there is why I'd say it's not work. You're in the place of receptivity now. You've already done the masculine part of the contract. Right. Now you get to receive, and the receiving is the light in order to fill you up with clarity, in order to have the choice to be clear, to let go of what no longer serves you. That's why it's not work.
Oh my God, I've got chills all over my whole body. And that is exactly, you are so right. That's where we are in this process. I can't think of a better note to leave that on. I know we've been on for, I think it's just about time's up, and we're going to have more conversations. Okay. I definitely want you to come back on the show with me and have some more incredible conversations. This has been such a wonderful hour. And, it's interesting because, I've had some recent insights into why I started the show. And I wasn't exactly sure until my conversation with Lisa last night. When we were talking, Lisa, I knew what this show is for. And that is to have true conversation, true spiritual conversation and bringing through source wisdom through our conversations, which connect with others and help them show themselves that is what they are, and to connect with others that are unraveling their own little pieces of threads that lead to the release of those sandbags. And as we do that, we're all elevating that balloon together in oneness. So anyways, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on the Collective Awakening.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to how this develops with you and for everybody to understand, Debbie has so many wonderful ideas to thread us all together and harmonize and allow our natural gifts to come out. And she is definitely someone to watch because she's a leader in this. And I really believe that she's going to do miraculous things.
Oh my gosh.
It's so wonderful to be close to that. And I will definitely listen to all your other podcasts of everybody else that you attract.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much, sister.
I love you too.
Okay, well, thank you, Lisa, for joining me today on the Collective Awakening. This episode of the Collective Awakening has been brought to you by the RVF Radio Network in conjunction with True Sacred Union's The Awakening Toolbox. Please subscribe on Blog Talk Radio if you'd like notifications of future shows. You can also contact me, Debbie DuBois, through awakeningtoolbox.com if you have any questions for me or for Lisa. If you want to find out how to get a hold of Lisa, please contact me. I'll also put some information in any posts that I make, any in social media. I have 2 Facebook groups on Facebook as well, True Sacred Union and Raising Vibrational Frequencies, that I would love you to join if you happen to be on Facebook. I stream this broadcast on various Sundays at 3 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, but you can always catch it on the replay.